Exercise 10. In this exercise, we take a look at the hybrid of bottom-up and top-down assembly modeling. This is kind of a real-world scenario where basically your boss gives you a job to do, and maybe someone is halfway or two-thirds of the way through with it, and you just have to finish it off. And so how do you pick up and continue on where someone left off? You'll see it's very vague as far as information in terms of the manual. And the reason why is because I wanted to leave it that way, because that's kind of how life is when you work for a company. They don't have time to write down a whole manual for you on instructions. They just give you very quick little instructions on how to do things. And in this case, you can see it's just a red line and marked up drawing, and just has very simple things like mate the AA battery into the socket or model the LCD screen. What do you do with that? Well, we're going to take a look at how to do that. And also, if you can do this type of a thing, then you're definitely a good candidate for an organization to pick you up and have you use CREO on a day-to-day basis. So it's a great little exercise for that. So let's begin. Now the assembly actually opened up here. You can see it's an older design MP3 player. I'm going to go ahead and just close that so I can show you how to open it up again. Just go to File, Open, and make sure you're in the CAD 105 Basics, and you go to the sample files, and you'll find the Pro E10 folder. Double click on that, and the assembly you're looking to open here is actually E10 assembly. Be careful, there's E10 2 and subassembly 2. You don't want those ones. And just to show you, you can turn on preview here. There's a little preview switch in the lower right, and you could click on and see which one is which. In this case here, you can see this is what we're looking for, versus the dash 2 is like a circuit board, so we don't want that. So let's go ahead and open up E10 assembly. Once you bring this in, some of the things that we need to do is we're going to go ahead and first we'll do the bottom-up assembly model, which is bringing that battery in, AA. And if you don't see all these options here, remember you could go to the little tools that are there and click on tree filters and make sure features are turned on and hit OK. This might make it a little bit easier to see what's going on in there. And then hit the little symbols to the left of each one of these E10s, and eventually we'll get to the parts that we're looking for. Now, this back part is called the original 12. So we're just going to go ahead and hide that. You can just right click on that after you select it with the left mouse button, right hold, and we're going to go ahead and hide it. Now it still shows up in the feature tree, it's just that you don't see it on the screen. And here you can see we have a little circuit board. We need to drop in a AA battery into there. So let's find the AA battery. We go to Assemble, and should be going to that same sample files Pro E10 folder and find the AA battery and hit open. Now it appears over here, and you can see it's actually corrupted. There's geometry that's missing on it, and when you import geometry, that typically kind of happens that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mate that. So you could click on placement just to be on the safe side here, and click on the cylindrical face here. It's kind of hard to see. If you select that face there, and then you have this cradle, click on the cradle. We want to mate that so that it's concentric in there. And then click on New Constraint. And then you can select this end face right here and mate that to the opposite end, the battery contact over here. And then instead of distance, go with coincident and hit apply. Okay, so there's our battery. Again, it's if you go to wireframe, it actually, you can tell what it is then a little bit better, being in that shaded mode. Sometimes things come over like that. Here you can actually see it right there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip it around to the opposite end, and we're going to work on putting in a LCD screen, just like it called out on the print here. Okay, and the LCD screen, I don't know if you can see this or not, is going to follow the contour, that bean shape that we have on the outside. So let's go to Create, and we're going to leave a part solid, and we're going to call this the LCD screen And again, ProE doesn't like little spaces, so put an underscore there and hit OK. And you could copy from existing or you could leave it empty. Either one is fine. Copy from existing is nice because it brings over front, top, and right planes versus empty. There's no planes. You can select surfaces to sketch on. So it doesn't really matter here, but I always like to have planes in my part rather than having to recreate it from scratch. Okay, now in this case, it's allowing us to position where the origin is supposed to be. I'm just going to go with default. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate that LCD screen. I'm going to click on it right here. Actually, I have to hit the green check mark first. Now I could right click on the LCD screen and activate. And we want this to use a circuit board as the resting point for our LCD screen. So we could actually, while we're editing here on the LCD screen, select Sketch and select the circuit board face from the top here as our surface to sketch on. Go ahead and hit Sketch. And now if you had to bring this in as empty, sometimes this happens on the school systems, you might ask you to select edges. So you could actually select linear edges like a horizontal or vertical edge. You have to select both. And it's just for references for like dimensions. So if you're doing this from home, you should have no problem. If you're doing it at the school, you might have some issues, but it's just a matter of selecting edges because there are no planes in your part if you brought it in as empty. In this case, we have planes, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the project tool. Actually, I'm going to use offset because we want to offset edges of this hole. And we're going to go with chain. Select this edge on the inside there. And then select this edge right here. And just hit yes. We'll convert it to a loop. And we're going to go ahead and type in an offset. Hold on a second. I wanted to be able to see the arrow. We could, because I was zoomed in too close, I couldn't see it. So let's try that again. Select this edge. And that edge right there. Hit yes. The arrow is pointing outward. So we want it to go inward. So it's just going to be a small little offset of minus 0.005, just to give a little clearance. And hit the green check mark to apply. And from here now we could go to OK and extrude. Now the extrusion, as we're seeing here, is just going arbitrary height, but it's flat. We want it to follow the contour of the bean shape. So instead of this little option here, click on this and select Extrude to selected point, curve, plane, or surface. Click on that. Now select the surface of the outer skin of the MP3 player. And it will conform to that and follow that edge, or that surface. Hit the green check mark to apply. Okay. That's all we need to do in this case. We don't have to put in the details that you saw on there on the actual drawing. But that's about it. We've created a new part. So now go to E10 Assembly at the top, right click and activate that to get out of it. So there's our LCD screen. So we've done a little bit of both. We've done bottom up and top down. We've inserted a battery, that was bottom up. We've created a new LCD screen, that's top down. And now we're going to do some editing here. We need to put a post in here so that this could swivel out. So it's going to be a little post. And we're not going to go into all the engineering characteristics of it, but we're just going to draw, like I said, a boss, which will hold it in place. So to do that, we need to edit this part. So if we click on it, we can find that's called the original 36. So right click on that and activate the original 36. And it says, please confirm temporary removal upper level summons. Confirm. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we want to start a sketch on this surface. So click on sketch and click on this little face right here and hit sketch. Now we want to steal the diameter of that hole. So we're going to use project again. And we'll go with chain and select this edge here and this edge here. Just hit yes to create a loop. And now just go to, and technically actually I guess we could have done an offset because there would be a little clearance between there. But let's go ahead and hit OK. And now we could go to extrude. And we just want this to extrude approximately 0.2 high. And hit the green check mark to apply. And there's our boss. So we just edited this part to add in a little clipping mechanism so that this could swivel out. That's an earphone case is what it's called. So the little headphones can go in there, the earbuds. So we need to get out of editing that part. We could right click at the top and activate the assembly. And we're still cruising along. Let's look at the drawing again. So we've completed the LCD screen. We've created the boss. And we've added the battery. Now we have to create a reversal of the cradle on the backside after we shell this backside out and put a little rib. And so it's going to be 100 thousandths wall thickness for the shell. And we're going to add a 50 thousandths by 0.1 high lip with 1 degree of draft. We're not going to put the draft in though, but then we'll go ahead and put these little scallops in to hold the battery in place with that cradle. So we need to bring back that part. That was the original 12, so right click on the original 12 and unhide. And actually we could hide this part now, the original 36. Right click on that and hide. And we're going to leave the battery cradle in its place there because we're going to need that to draw a lock in for that. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and edit this part. So this is called the original 12. Right click on it and activate it. You see the little star that appears there. That means we're editing it. And also everything else turns transparent. So we need to shell this out. So let's find the shell command. Click on shell. And it's going to be 0.1 thick. Just select this face to open up and you should see a preview like that. So it's going to shell it out. Hit apply. Now we need to put those 2 ribs in there. So what we can do is we can select this face and start a sketch on that floor. Let's go to the front view orientation. Okay, and we'll actually draw that out. Okay, in this case, what we have is an issue because it was imported. It didn't have the view orientations already predefined for us. So what we can do here is we could define our own. Under AB, if you hit reorient, from here you could go ahead, we could select a reference for the front, just click in here, and select this flat face. Now we need something that's going to be 90 degrees from that, or perpendicular. So click in this box. And there are 2 planes. You could hit A datum 2, and it will orient it for you. And now you could go ahead and hit OK. And it should put that view orientation in there for you. Or at least it will orient us temporarily to that. So reorient it. We could also save that too. So next time, let's do that one more time. I'm just going to rotate here. Click in the front, select this face. And for the top, I'll select A datum 2. And we'll call that the front. And hit save. Okay. So if we ever reorient ourselves, we could go to AB, and now we have front reorientation. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're sketching on this surface here, and we need to go ahead and draw a couple ribs. So my suggestion here is, first of all, set up some references. So click on references. And then these edges, like click on this edge here, this outer edge here, this one too, and that one. It makes like a rectangle. And you could hit close up here. Okay, now with the rectangle of edges, we can now go to the corner rectangle tool and draw 2 little rectangles. One here from this corner up to this edge, and there. And then just dimension them. The typical wall thickness, actually, with plastic parts, it's usually less than 75% of wall thickness. So we can make them actually 0.07. Otherwise, you get some shrink that occurs in those areas and it might be undesirable. So we'll go ahead and hit OK, and we'll go to extrude. And now for this, we could actually tell to extrude up to a point. So we could click over here, and we could select this again. Extrude up to select a point, curve, plane, or surface. And just select this like edge here. So it knows to stop at the cradle. Hit apply. And now we're going to go ahead and sketch on this face here. And I know it's a little confusing, but we need to make the scallop cutout for the battery to fit in. And once we're sketching on that face, what we can do is we could reorient again. We could go to the AB button, reorient, select that face, and then this face. And we'll save that as top. Okay. And at this point, we could now go to the wireframe, and we'll again set some references up. Click on references, select like the outer edge of this circle. You can get something there, like right that edge right there. Click on it, and hit close. And now we should be able to take the circle tool. We could use concentric circle. Actually, we could use concentric to begin with. Click on this edge and make it a little bit bigger than the battery, or you can make it equal to, or even equal to one of these edges. But I'll make it equal to the outside surface of the battery. Okay, now when I go back to shaded with edges, you should be able to see our circle. And now I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to hit OK, extrude, and again up to selected vertex. We'll click on this one with the little red stripe in there. And click on this backside edge for it to stop at. And you can see that's making the cylinder. Make sure you select remove material and hit the green check mark. And now we have the scalloped cut out little cradle there on the backside. One other thing we need to add on here is the little lip that goes around. So we could now click on sketch and select this face. That's that outer edge surface. Hit sketch. And let's go with project again. Select chain. Select this edge here. And there's a little edge here. Hit yes. And let's see if we could get that to extrude. We might actually have to do an offset, but I'm going to try and get that to extrude as a thin feature. So now when we go to OK, go to extrude, click on thin feature, and we're going to flip it so it's on the outside, and it's going to be 0.05, and the height is only 0.1. And there we go. You can hit apply, and now we have the lip. Let's bring back the original 36 part. We'll activate it. Confirm. Oh, I'm sorry, activate the E10 assembly. And then right click on the original and unhide actually. I didn't want to activate it by mistake. And now we could see the assembly is complete. If you want, again, you could do a file save if you have it on your own folders, or if you do a backup, save as, save a backup, you could create a new folder. So in this case, I'm going to put my desktop, and I'll right click a new folder. I'm going to call this E10. Hit OK, and just hit OK down here, and it will make copies of every single part inside that new directory for us. And that's it. And that completes exercise 10.